Good day to you. This is Mr. Mlenga, your teacher of geography. So today I want to introduce you to a very interesting topic, which is very realistic. That is weather and climate. Now, before we go into detail, the basic question I would ask you is, what is the weather today? Where you are, how is the weather? Is it cold? Is it warm? Is it hot? Is it raining? How is the weather? You should be able to answer that. Now, I want us to achieve these objectives by the end of the lesson. So our first objective is to define weather and climate. Then we'll differentiate weather from climate and identify elements of weather. Now, I'll take you straight into a very interesting place, which is a weather station. Now, all the elements of weather which we have identified, they are recorded at a place known as a weather station. Now, weather is basically the average atmospheric condition of a place at a specific time for a short period of time. Now, here is what you should be able to know. Weather is the average atmospheric condition of a place at a specific time for a short period of time. It is said to be the state of the atmosphere at a specific time and place. Now, this simply shows that weather changes from time to time within a short period of time. In the morning, it can be raining, but in the afternoon, it will be very hot. So it changes from time to time and place to place. Weather conditions are made up of different elements such as sunshine or rainfall. Now, I want us to understand also the meaning of climate. Now, climate is the average atmospheric condition of a place over a long period of time, usually a minimum of 30 years. Now, climate is therefore the variation in weather elements, such as temperature or rainfall, for a given area over a much longer time period than in the case of weather. Now, what is the difference between weather and climate? Now, here is the difference. The words weather and climate are sometimes used as if they mean the same thing, but there is a difference between them. Both refer to the conditions of the atmosphere, that is, to what is happening in the layer of air that surrounds the Earth. Now, the difference lies in the time period that each word refers. Weather is the average atmospheric condition of a place at a specific time for a short period of time, whereas climate is the average atmospheric condition of a place over a long period of time, usually the minimum being 30 years. So here you can be able to see the difference, being weather takes a very short period of time to change, whereas climate takes quite a long period of time to change. Now, like I earlier said, the elements of weather which we are going to discuss may include temperature, rainfall, humidity, atmospheric pressure, cloud cover, sunshine, as well as wind, which can either be wind direction or wind speed. Now, this place where all these elements of weather are recorded is clearly known as a weather station or a meteorological station. A meteorological station. Now, a weather station is the place where elements of weather are measured, like I earlier said, and recorded as accurately as possible. Now, a weather station is set up in an open space far from tall buildings and trees to avoid distorting recordings. So it has to be in an open space. So as you're able to see in this picture, this is a weather station where all the elements of weather are recorded, and this is an open space. There are not tall buildings here, there are not tall trees, because those things can distract the recordings. Now, at the weather station, there is a very, very special, wooden box which is known as a Stevenson screen, in which all the, necessary instruments that are used to measure the elements of weather are kept. Now, each weather station has a Stevenson screen. It contains 4 thermometers, which hang from a frame in the center of the screen. Now, these are the maximum thermometer, minimum thermometer, wet bulb thermometer, and dry bulb thermometer. Now, I want you to understand something here. It is not all the instruments that we use to measure elements of weather which you find in a Stevenson screen. So these which I've given you are the main instruments that you're able to find in a Stevenson screen. Maximum thermometer, minimum thermometer, wet bulb thermometer, and dry bulb thermometer. Now, wet bulb thermometer and dry bulb thermometer, they are a combination which, form or make an hygrometer. So we're going to look at that in detail at a later stage. So as you're able to see, this is a Stevenson screen. This is a Stevenson screen, which has the maximum thermometer used to measure the temperature, and the wet bulb thermometer. Now, here the Stevenson screen has these louvers, which are windows, which allow free air circulation. And the Stevenson screen, as you are able to see, is painted white. And the reason why it is painted white is to reflect, light, so that the recordings inside are not affected, especially that of, temperature. Because if it is not painted white, or for example, if it is painted black, it may, attract heat, which can affect the temperature readings in the thermometers. Now, what are the characteristics of a Stevenson screen? It is built so as to measure the shade temperature of air. It has louvered sides, or when we say louvered, we mean windows, sides, which allow free air circulation. The roof is made of 2 wooden layers to form a bad conductor of heat. The screen is painted white so as to improve insulation. The Stevenson screen is placed on a stand about 121 centimeters above the ground. One side of the screen is hinged, and it acts as a door. As you're able to see, this is how it looks in reality. A Stevenson screen. Just like that. Now, elements of weather. Begin with temperature. Now, temperature is the degree of hotness or coldness of something. It is how hot or cold something or an object is. Temperature is measured using an instrument called a thermometer. I'm sure you're quite familiar with this instrument, a thermometer. Now, temperature is observed by measuring the highest, which is the maximum, and the lowest, which is the minimum temperatures of the day. Now, temperature is measured in degrees centigrade, or degrees Celsius, or degrees Fahrenheit. The Celsius or centigrade scale is commonly used. On this scale, degrees Celsius or 0 degrees Celsius represents freezing point of water, and 100 degrees Celsius represents the boiling point of water. So you must know these basic techniques. 0 degrees Celsius is the freezing point. 100 degrees Celsius is the boiling point of water. How do you measure temperature? The 3 main types of thermometers which we use to measure temperature are the minimum thermometer, maximum thermometer, and the 6's thermometer. Now, maximum and minimum thermometers are measured by the maximum and minimum, temperatures. Let me say that once again. Maximum and minimum temperatures are measured by maximum and minimum thermometers respectively. Now, these are in form of separate thermometers, or joined in a U-shaped tube called 6's thermometer. So there is the maximum thermometer and minimum thermometer. As you're able to see, this is how it looks like. So this is a 6's thermometer, which has a combination of the maximum thermometer on one side and the minimum thermometer on the other side. Now, let me tell you one thing here. For the maximum thermometer, it uses mercury, whereas the minimum thermometer uses alcohol. The reason why the minimum thermometer uses alcohol is because alcohol contracts easily. Whereas the reason why the maximum thermometer uses mercury is because mercury expands easily. Now, how do you measure the maximum temperature? Mercury in the glass tube expands when temperature rises. This pushes the index in the right hand limb up to maximum. The end of the index nearest to the mercury gives the reading of the maximum temperature. To reset the index for next day's reading, it has to be drawn back by a magnet. So here is how the thermometer looks like. Now, for the minimum temperature probably occurs early in the morning when temperatures are quite low. The alcohol in the left-hand limb contracts. The mercury flows in the reverse direction. The index is pushed up along the left-hand limb. When temperature rises, the alcohol flows past the index, leaving it where it was pushed. The end of the index, furthest from the bulb, gives the reading of the minimum temperature. So this is 100 degrees Celsius in our example. To reset the index, draw it back by a magnet. There you go. Now, temperature record. Now, this is very important. Very, I've seen a couple of questions coming from, past papers on this. Now, the following are used to keep a temperature record. We have what we call mean daily temperature. Now, this is the average of maximum and minimum. The average of maximum and minimum temperature. So if the maximum temperature of the day is 30 degrees Celsius and the minimum temperature of the day is 10 degrees Celsius, all you have to do is to find the average of that by adding the maximum temperature and the minimum temperature. For example, if the maximum temperature is 30 degrees Celsius and the minimum temperature is 10 degrees Celsius, so you just need to add 30 plus 10, then you divide that by 2 to find the average, which is going to be 30 plus 10, 40, divided by 2, which is going to give us 20 degrees Celsius. So that's the mean daily temperature. Then we have the daily or journal range. Daily or journal range. Now, this is the difference between the maximum and minimum temperatures of the day. For example, the maximum temperature can be 30 degrees Celsius minus the minimum temperature of 10 degrees Celsius, which will give us 20 degrees Celsius as the journal range or the daily temperature range. We also have the annual temperature. Now, this is the difference between the mean temperatures of the hottest month and that of the coldest month. We also have the mean annual temperature. Now, this is the sum of the mean month temperature of 1 year divided by 12 months. So that's how you find the mean. The sum of the mean month temperature for 1 year divided by 12 months. The mean monthly temperature. This refers to the sum of mean daily temperatures for 1 month divided by the number of days in that month. Simple. So on weather maps, places having the same temperatures are joined by a smooth line. Such a line is called an isotherm. An isotherm. So isotherms Isotherms are lines on a weather map joined together, indicating places of the same temperature. As you're able to see, these are isotherms, lines indicating places of the same temperature. So at this point, the temperature is 16 degrees Celsius, and even on the other end, as long as it is on the same line, the temperature is the same. Now, let me take you straight into examination questions. Straight into what we're just from looking. Study the map below and answer question 7. So if you look at this map, we have these lines, which are indicating temperature in degrees Celsius. So on this line, where there is X, we have 18 degrees Celsius. Even on the other line, we have 16 degrees Celsius and we have 10 degrees Celsius here. So question 7 says, what name is given to the set of lines drawn on the map labeled X? Isobars, isohedrs, isotherms, contours. So the best possible answer here is C, which is isotherms. Next question. Study the following table showing station X and answer question 7 to 9. So if you look at this table, it is showing us on top here we have the months, and below here we have temperature in degrees Celsius. So the months are ranging from January to December. And the temperatures here, we have the temperature for January, which is 23 degrees Celsius, the temperature for February, which is 23 degrees Celsius, and it goes on like that. Now, the question says the highest temperature reading for station X was recorded in the month of, so this is very simple. All you have to do is to check which month has the highest temperature here. So as you are able to see here, the month with the highest temperature is September with 26 degrees Celsius. So the answer here is D, which is September. Then question 8. What is the annual range of temperature for station X? What is the annual range of temperature for station X? Now, when you are looking for the range, when you just see the word range, all you have to do is you just need to get the highest temperature minus the lowest temperature. So the month with the highest temperature is 26. Is September with 26 degrees Celsius. So we have 26 as the highest temperature recorded in the month of September. And the lowest temperature, which we have here, is 18.5 in the month of April and May, 18.5. So if you subtract 18.5 from 26, what are you going to have? So 26 minus 18.5, you're going to have 7.5 degrees Celsius. So the best possible answer here is A. So this is how you answer this. Thank you so much for your attention. I'll see you in our next lesson.